Now, I will present the contribution of each members in our group. Firstly, Fatira was worked on the outcome where she's presented the result of our project and evaluate whether the objective was successfully achieved or not. She also completed the project overview that giving a concise of introduction and the project background and purpose. Next, Ashraf took charge of the project documentations. He compiled the interview records, supporting data and references using the chart in the project. In addition, he also prepared the lesson learned section, which is he summarized our key reflection and personal growth. Alina is also assisted in the project documentation. She ensuring that all the collected information was well organized and properly formatted. She developed the project description, which is it outlined the scope, approach and the relevance of the project. Moving on to Shafir, she managed the student contribution section by consolidating the roles and effort of each members. She also prepared the reflection part that discussing our guru experience and how the challenges were overcome. We move for the next one, which is Aslinda was responsible for preparing a project timeline. She arranged activities in clear sequence and proposed a realistic deadline. She also contributed to the future improvement section by suggesting some way about how the project can enhance in the future. Lastly, Fizwan was handled the visual and the media. He designed a creative chart, graphic and visual element to strengthen the presentation and in the report. In addition, he also developed an objective section that clearly outlining the aims and the target of the project.
My name is Fatira and now I would like to present about project overview. So the title that we have chosen is Wealth Through the Ages, where we explore financial habits between Gen X, Gen Y and Gen Z. So we aim to see how these people manage their budgeting, saving, investment and retirement, including lessons that we learn from these people. So we interview 6 family members, 2 from each generation via face-to-face to fulfill the objective of this assignment. For the methodology, we use structured questions in 4 sections, then compare it across generations. The findings were compiled into a report and video presentation. The value of this project is learning how money management differs by generation, giving insight for younger generation while improve our teamwork, analysis and presentation skills.
The project titled Family Financial Stories, Intergenerational Insight was conducted to explore financial habits and practices across 3 generations with a Malaysian family that come from Generation X, Y and Z. With a total of 6 respondents. Each group member interviewed 2 family members from different generations and focused on key financial aspects such as budget management, saving habits, investment, debt management and financial challenges. These face-to-face interviews provide rich qualitative data, which was then documented and visually presented through pie chart, graph and infographic to facilitate analysis. The study revealed distinct generational difference. Generation X emphasized financial stability and retirement planning. Generation Y balanced lifestyle needs with long-term goals using technology. And Generation Z prioritized flexibility, urgency and adaptability to future opportunity. This analysis highlights how evolving technology, economic conditions and shifting societal values influence financial behavior across generations. The findings were compiled into an infographic report and presented via video, enabling the group to connect real family experience with personal finance concepts and learn in the course and offering valuable intergenerational financial insight. The first objective of this project is to examine financial decision making across generations. It focuses on how different age groups with a family approach budgeting, saving and investing. By comparing older and younger family members, we can better understand how financial decisions are influenced by a person's stage in life, the economic condition they face and their individual or generational values. This comparison helps highlight the evolving nature of financial behavior over time. The second objective is to identify intergenerational financial lessons. Through personal stories and family experience, the project uncovers valuable financial knowledge that has been passed down, such as the importance of frugality, disciplined saving, and long-term investment strategies. This lesson often reflects core values that continue to influence financial habits today, and recognizing them helps them pass wisdom to present their financial choice. The third objective involves comparing and contrasting financial problems experienced by different generations. Each generation faces unique challenge. For example, older generation may focus on retirement planning and healthcare costs, while younger ones deal with student loans, inflation, and rising housing price. This part of the study aims to unpack these issues, understand generational trends, and explore how families adjust to changing economic environment. The fourth objective is to examine the role of cultural and social influence on financial behaviors. Factors such as cultural, traditional, social norms, family size, access to education, and job opportunity all play a significant role in shaping how individuals and families manage money. By studying this influence, The project highlights how deeply root cultural and social elements impact financial decisions across generations. The final objective is to promote family comfort and awareness when it comes to financial communications. The project encourages open discussion about money with families and help to create a safe and supportive environment for sharing experience. As students engage in this conversation, they not only gain personal insights but also help increase their family's financial awareness and comfort level while fostering healthier financial communication across generations.
Now, I would like to present about the outcomes of this project. We found that Gen X focused on manual saving and cautious spending. Gen Y balanced saving with low-risk investment, and Gen Z used digital tools but struggled with lifestyle spending. All generations value savings, but Gen X prefer traditional method. Gen Y takes small investment. Gen Z tries digital and higher risk options. Thirdly, from the interview, we gained several lessons. During COVID-19, many respondents stressed the need for emergency funds and diversified savings. We also saw that starting financial discipline early can build a financial safety. For advice to the younger generation, the key points are: don't delay budgeting and savings, always do research rather than trends, plan retirement beyond EPF to ensure peace of mind. Lastly, this project gave us valuable insights. We learned how to conduct interviews with people with different generations, analyze financial patterns, and turn real-life experience into structured findings.
Now, I would like to present the project timeline for our project. In the first week, which is 10 to 16 August, we had a Google Meet discussion to set the project objectivities. Our aim was identify the differences in financial habit between Gen X, Gen Y, also Gen Z. We also divide the reporting tasks among group members according to each generation group. In the second week, which is 17 to 23 August, we have discussed in our WhatsApp group about the types of financial questions to ask the respondent. We also divide each member into Gen X, Gen Y, and Gen Z group. And then we started planning the interview. In week 4, which is 1 to 6 September, we started conducting the interview with Gen X, Gen Y, also Gen Z. We recorded the session of the interview and took the pictures of respondents. At the same time, we begin the preparing the report framework. Finally, in week 5, which is 7 to 40 September, we completed the final report. We also reviewed and improved the report and then recorded the presentation video. At the end, we submitted both the report and presentation video to the lecturer.
Hi everyone, my name is Nur Adina Natasha, and for my part, I'll be sharing the project documentation and my part only focusing on budgeting and savings. I'd like to explain it according to each generation that we have interviewed. Starting with Gen X, for budgeting, Gen X respondent usually had a higher monthly allocation between 800 and 1,200, reflecting their responsibilities such as housing, health, and also family needs. In terms of method, they prefer manual tracking like writing notes, and some even practice daily savings because it's more practical for them. Their spending priorities included food, health, and also hobbies, showing that once basic commitments are covered, they allow space for personal satisfaction. Mistake that they admitted were impulsive spending and sometimes not recording their expenses. For saving, Gen X is focused on retirement and emergency fund, showing that they are already planned for the financial stability in the long run. Next, we go to Gen Y, or we call it as the millennials. For budgeting, this group had a mixed budget range, some between 300 to 700, while the other reached 1,200, depending on whether they were studying or already working. Unlike Gen X, Gen Y is more comfortable using Excel and auto-deduction for budgeting, reflecting their familiarities with technologies. Their top priorities included food, health, education, and also housing, because many are ideally in higher education or supporting children and planning for a home. Mistakes reported were impulsive buying and failing to prepare emergency fund. For saving, Gen Y relied on fixed saving but also used auto salary deduction and auto debits. It's reflecting their use of modern banking tools. Their saving goals included children education, retirement, and emergency fund, showing a strong awareness of long-term planning. Finally, we go to Gen Z. As the youngest group, Gen Z respondents generally had a smaller budget between 300 to 700, since many of them still depend on parental allowance or part-time jobs. For budgeting methods, they started using Excel, but some still keep it flexible without fixed budgets. Their spending priorities were food, health, and entertainment, showing a balance between needs and lifestyle enjoyment. Mistakes included emotional spending and depending on parents are reported. For saving, Gen Z practiced a fixed saving even though some still relied on their parents. Their motivation included emergency, goals, and housing. During the COVID-19 pandemic, one of the Gen Z respondents took a part-time job, reflecting their adaptability in facing challenges.
Now, I will present the findings from Generation X for the investment and advice part. For the investment, Generation X respondents shared that their main choices are ASB, gold, and real estate. They started investing later, mostly between the ages of 31 to 40 years old, when they were already more financially stable. They are open to both low-risk and high-risk investment, depending on their situation. Their most successful investment were ASB, gold, and real estate, depending on the platforms they joined. Interestingly, they reported never suffering a loss, showing that they made careful and safe decisions. They also believe that this generation has more investment opportunities than before, especially with new digital tools and platforms. For advice, Generation X suggested two key practices. First, they advise to spend the money on needs, not wants, which teaches the importance of financial discipline. Second, they encourage saving from a young age, as this builds strong financial security over time. In conclusion, Generation X shows that wise choices and financial discipline can bring success in investing without losses. Their advice reminds us that carefully spending and early savings are the key to long-term stability. Next, I will present the findings from Generation Y, also known as Millennials. For investment, Generation Y respondents said that their preferred investment are ASB, gold and stocks. Unlike Gen X, they started investing early, between the ages of 21 to 13 years old, when they began earning income. They are also comfortable with both low-risk and high-risk investment, depending on their financial goals. They explain that the most successful investments are based on the platform they join, such as ASB, gold or stock. They also reported never suffering a loss, which shows that they are cautious and selective. However, they feel the current generations face more risk in investment because of the fast-changing markets and digital platform. For advice part, Generation Y emphasized 3 points. First, they suggested spending money well and making mindful financial choices. Second, they stressed the importance of spending on needs and not wants to prioritize essentials. Lastly, they advised controlling spending by doing budgeting, as this helps manage income and prevents overspending. In conclusion, Generation Y shows that starting early brings opportunities, but it also comes with higher risk. Their advice highlights mindful spending, clear priorities, and good budgeting as the keys to financial success. Finally, I will present the findings from Generation Z. For investment part, Generation Z respondents said their main choices are ASB and Forex. They are the youngest group and started investing very early, between the ages of 15 to 20 years old. Unlike the older groups, they prefer low risk and safer investment, but some also try out Forex to explore more opportunities. They explain that their more successful investment came from platforms like ASB and Forex. Just like Gen X and Gen Y, they reported never experiencing losses. They also believe that the current generations has more investment opportunities, but at the same time faces more risk due to the digital platforms and fast-changing trends. For advice, Generation Z give 3 important points. First, they suggested spending money well by being careful with financial decisions. Second, they stressed savings from a young age to prepare for future needs. Third, they advise investing only on the right and safe platform to avoid unnecessary risk. In conclusion, Generation Z shows that starting early in investment has many advantages, but it requires extra caution. Their advice reminds us that smart spending, early savings, and choosing the right platforms are essential for financial growth.
This is example picture for our interview session. Each member have to interview their family members that come from 3 generations, which is S, Y, and Z.
For the reflection, our group was found that each generation has a different way about how they are managing their monthly finance. From the interview, we noticed that the younger generation, especially Gen Z, was prefer to using technology such as Excel because it's more systematic and easier to track their expenses. Meanwhile, the older generation is still more comfortable with manual methods such as they are using writing notes since it fits better with their daily routine and to avoid the technical risk. Next, when we look at the spending priorities, all generations place food as a main priority since it's a basic need. However, the younger generation was tend to spend more on entertainment and the lifestyle, while the older generation was focuses on the health, education, and the housing. This shows that as people getting older, they prioritize their long-term commitment over short-term enjoyment. Overall, we can conclude here that financial management is influenced by age, lifestyle, experience, and the responsibilities. Each generation has its own strength, which is the older generation is more disciplined and saving-oriented, while the younger generation is more efficient in using more technologies. If these strengths are combined, they can serve as a guide for a better and more balanced financial management.
One of the key lessons we learned is the importance of budgeting and financial discipline. From the findings, many respondents admitted that they struggle with emotional or impulsive spending and sometimes fail to separate between needs and wants. For example, 83.3% said they spend without control, and some don't record their expenses or prepare an emergency budget. Without discipline, this can lead to debt or no savings during urgent times. The lesson here is that budgeting is not only about making a plan, but also about controlling behavior. So, a simple habit like writing expenses in a notebook or tracking them in Excel can help avoid overspending and ensure money is spent on the right priorities. The second lesson is that different generations have different financial priorities. From the interviews, we found that financial goals depend on age and responsibility. For example, Generation X often focuses on retirement savings since they are close to retirement. Generation Y, on the other hand, puts more priority on education and housing because they are raising children and looking for stability. Meanwhile, Generation Z is more flexible, saving for lifestyle goals such as buying gold or a home, but many of them still rely on parents. The lesson here is that financial planning must follow life stages. So, a Gen Y parent may need to prioritize education funds, while a Gen Z student should focus on building small savings habit. The third lesson is that emergency savings are essential for everyone. All 6 respondents agreed on this point, which shows that financial awareness in this area is strong. The COVID-19 pandemic became a clear example, as many people had to use their emergency savings or even withdraw from KBA2744B when their income was affected. Without such savings, people risk falling into debt or losing other important funds. The lesson here is that unexpected events can happen anytime, so we must prepare an emergency fund. For example, saving just 50 or 100 every month can slowly build a safety net that protects against medical emergency, job loss, or sudden expenses. The fourth lesson is that safe investments are more trusted than high-risk ones. From the findings, most respondents said they prefer low-risk investment like ASB because it provides stable and consistent returns. About 66.7% even mentioned ASB as their most successful investment compared to the riskier choices like stocks or forex. This shows that people feel safer with investments that are simple and don't require deep technical knowledge. ASB is popular because it is stable and widely accessible, while gold is also trusted as a long-term investment. The lesson here is that building wealth doesn't always mean taking big risks. People can start with safe platform first and only move into risky option once they have more financial knowledge. The fifth lesson is that early financial education is very important. Many respondents advise the younger generation to spend wisely, save early, and learn budgeting. This shows that financial habits need to be built from a young age to avoid mistakes later in life. For example, if Generation Z learns to spend only on needs instead of wants, they can avoid unnecessary debt and build stronger savings. Starting early also gives more time to grow wealth through investments like ASB or gold. The lesson here is that practicing good financial habits from young will lead to better security in the future. For instance, a student who saves part of their allowance today may later have enough to invest when they start working. The last lesson is that retirement planning needs yearly attention. From the findings, many respondents are uncertain if their EPF or KWSP savings will be enough for retirement. About 50% said it might only be sufficient depending on their lifestyle, while only a few felt truly confident. This shows that many people only start thinking about retirement seriously when they are older. The lesson here is that retirement planning should not be delayed. Even small contributions to saving or safe investment like ASB and real estate can grow over time and provide security in old age. For example, saving consistently from your 20 or 30 can help you live comfortably without financial stress after retirement.
Now, I would like to present the future improvement based on our findings. For Generation X, they should use digital financial tools like Excel, Maybank MAE, or CIMB Clicks because these tools can help them track expenses, forecast spending, and avoid mistakes. Besides that, they should also improve their retirement planning by contributing more to EPF and choosing safe investment such as government bonds or Amanah Saham Nasional because this will give them consistent return and security during retirement. Other than that, many people Generation X still have long-term debt such as house or car loans, so they should reduce or consolidate their debt because it will make repayment easier and give them more financial freedom before retirement. For Generation Y, they should balance lifestyle expenses with long-term obligations. For example, controlling spending on travel or entertainment, this can allow them to save more for housing, education, and retirement. Besides that, they should also diversify their investment beyond traditional savings, such as investing in ETF, REIT, or crowdfunding, because they can generate extra income and increase wealth faster. Lastly, they should practice strategic debt management by using the 50, 30, and 20 rule, which is 50% needs, 30% wants, and 20% savings or investment. This can help them manage commitment in a sensible way. For Generation Z, they should create solid saving habits by putting aside 10 to 20% of their income every month because this can build financial discipline from a young age. Besides that, they should also start safe investment early, such as investing RM100 money in ASB because compound interest will grow their money over time and build a strong financial base. Lastly, they must practice careful credit usage, for example, by only using 30% of their credit card limit and paying in full every month. This is because prevent debt and avoid extra interest. Next, the recommendation of this project. The first one, increase the sample size and diversity. The sample size should be increased by including at least 30 to 50 respondents from the different backgrounds. These include people from rural and urban areas, high income and low income earners, and professional and self-employed individuals. This is important because a bigger and more diverse sample will make the result more accurate and reliable. Besides that, integrate quantitative data. Quantitative data shall say the percentage of income saved, retirement saving, and frequency of investment should be included. This is because they will give a clear picture of financial habit and allow direct comparison between generations. For example, a graph could show that Gen Z saved 20%, Gen Y saved 10%, and Gen Z saved 5%. This is useful because numbers make the fund easier to understand. The recommendation for this project also can include add more generations. More generations should be added to this study, such as baby boomers and Gen Alpha. This will enable comparison across at least 5 generations. For example, baby boomers may prefer traditional saving like gold and fixed deposit, while Gen Alpha may grow up with digital wallets and online investing. This is important because it shows how financial habits evolve over time.